Alright, I want to confess that I felt jealousy for two hobos who have now passed. The most recent being Hobo ShoeString. I also felt jealousy for Stobe the Hobo. I saw that their popularity rose much faster than mine. And I mean, that's the way it is for everybody anyway. Everybody gets more popular than me. And I mean, they did a good job when they were alive with how they entertained people and their knowledge. I mean, there's always going to be people smarter than you. There's always going to be people smarter than me. Even the hobos who can develop lucrative YouTube channels that attract attention from thousands of people. And their bravery or craziness is just unmatched. It's on a level that I just can't compare. To be able to hop on a train the way they do, know the points where they can hop and know where they're going. I just can't fathom that. I just stick with my car. And the people that really are entertained by their travels, it's phenomenal. You know that there's the rail fans lost a couple good people with the train hopping. Oh, and one Stobe the Hobo was he finished his lifestyle on the train yards, whereas sounds like Hobo ShoeString had a diabetic issue. Their diets were not the best. Stobe the Hobo was pretty bad with alcohol, and the ShoeString was just bad with sugar. Both are pretty much like the same kind of causes of problems. I mean, sugar ferments into alcohol, so they struggled with consuming excess amounts of sugar or alcohol and sugar, while living on that lifestyle. And I can understand that it's difficult for them to be able to prepare proper meals, okay, like this. I mean, if I want to have a good whole food, I got to do it myself. I'm peeling potatoes, and I got to cook it on this propane, and it's not easy. I have to carry around all of this this cooking utensil stuff, water. I need good access to water. And I just learned recently that if you get water with algae in it, you can't cook that algae out. The algae is going to poison you no matter how much you try to boil it. So you just don't make use of the local resources if you run a little dry on your own resources. You don't exactly. It's not easy to live off the lands. You got to look for algae in the water if you want to use that. And I've seen video of Stobe the Hobo bathing in lakes and stuff. I don't know how cautious he was about algae. I just learned about you can't boil algae out of the you can't boil water with algae and make it drinkable. Okay, so bathing with it's a kind of a different story. So they made a lot of friends along the way. I mean, I can't say I was a hater. I didn't. I mean, when I felt extreme jealousy of them, um, I just kind of like didn't watch for a while. All right, so I was feeling jealousy, and I wasn't a complete hater. I like what they're doing, and it's sad to know that they have passed away. It doesn't make me feel any better knowing that they've passed away. Stobe the Hope was in his early 30s, ShoeString at 53. That's pretty young. I heard a statistic that the average life of a homeless person is 50, so that might give me 2 more years. I've been doing this 11 years, but living in my car, a little upgrade from what they're doing, because I can protect myself and carry resources. So there's an advantage with that. But yeah, the trips that they've gone on, I mean, they're trips that I can't match. I can't match the types of like traveling that they have done. They go on the places that I would never see. Just on the train tracks offer a different kind of view of things. They've probably seen abandoned houses that you can only see off of the train tracks. All right, because especially when you're in deep woods, in the deep woods where no roads really reach, but they got train tracks running through. It's pretty phenomenal. And I never seen any videos of them making notes of any abandoned houses. It's not like they could just hop off the train anytime they want. They'd see it and they just have to keep moving along. But I mean, to see ShoeString in the engine bay of one of the trains, guiding us through it, that was something. Him telling like campfire. I didn't watch a whole lot of his stuff, but the stuff he talked about, he was in Alaska. I mean, he was all over in just the U.S., possibly Canada, maybe Mexico. I'm not exactly sure. But how many train hoppers or rail fan train hoppers are there? I'm only familiar with these two, and they're dead. So you got to look elsewhere. I don't know if it's that rare for channels about train hopping to emerge. I know that there was one guy a few years ago from Britain, from Europe. He got he got banned from coming to the U.S. now. The immigration has officially banned him for train hopping in the U.S. So the only trains he can hop on are in Britain now. Because he made videos. He was a foreigner making videos about train hopping in the U.S. So they just banned him from it. Banned him from the country. So yeah, they're trying to discourage people. I mean, when I cross the tracks, on the tracks I'll see, private property, you're not allowed on the train tracks. You can only be on the train tracks on the roads when you're crossing, but nowhere else. They'll put up the signs so to make it a legal statement so that they can charge you with trespassing on the tracks. So back in the old days, people would walk on the tracks. You didn't always need to ride the train in a sneaky fashion. Some people would just walk the tracks and then move off the tracks to get out of the way of a train. It's pretty obvious when a train's coming through, but the precautions that the trains take with the no trespassing signs and the blaring of their horns when they go through all intersections. Every intersection they gotta start alerting people like thousands of feet ahead. And so they blare their horns several times as they approach the tracks and after they leave the tracks. It's in some places, I mean, in residential places, it's really annoying. I don't know. I wouldn't want to live next to tracks that do that. For some cities, though, they've come to an agreement about silent horns, about no horn blaring in their city. How they come to that agreement, I don't know. But to ride the trains, like without the trains generally knowing, but it sounds like with Hobo ShoeString, there were some train conductors who really actually knew and were fine with it. It's more an issue about the bulls wanting to do their job and not have anybody slip through, because that would look bad to the bulls if they allowed people to sneak onto the trains, because that's the bulls are getting paid to keep people off the trains, and they could lose their job. So there's a lot of sneakiness going on, and then to turn around and post that on YouTube, you're sneaking around. That's something. I mean, a little sneaking around is okay, as long as it doesn't really harm anybody else. And what harm do the the train hoppers cause to the trains? I like to think, sensitivity wise, that, well, they're adding a little extra weight to the train, a couple 100 pounds. That's why I'm very sensitive to weight in my car, and I want to keep the weight down to a minimum. And that's what Stobe the Hobo had to do, and ShoeString in his last video, the campfire stories. I at least saw the beginning of it, and he talked about keeping the weight down, switching over to his summer pack, and that was a month ago. Switching to a summer pack, he could have gotten caught in a cold spell at any point and gotten in trouble. But yeah, he showed like he was cooking kind of a decent meal of meat. And apparently he died at his home in his backyard, where he had his resources. He had his good resources to prepare a nice home cooked meal. He was trying to show on video him making like a similar home cooked meal out in the woods next to a track that's apparently train stop where he could have hopped on. But when he was at his home, he couldn't be preparing a home cooked meal. But for some reason, somebody said this. I didn't get confirmation, but I was told that he called a friend. He died just a couple weeks ago. He called a friend, and he said that he was like feeling dizzy and he couldn't see, and it sounds like he was having a diabetic episode in his property. And then somebody said that ShoeString died at his pond. He had a pond. He had a house in Tennessee, and he was found after 3 days near his pond. But I looked on Reddit, and they said that his neighbor caught him on a Ring camera of him walking away from his house with nothing and then never returning. So how does that work? He was caught on Ring walking away from his property, but he was found on his own property next to his ponds after 3 days. And that was after calling his friend. He called his friend, and then 3 days later he was found. So his friend got back with him 3 days later. I'm sure it'll be a much longer period of time for me, because I don't even have a phone plan. It'll be a much longer period of time for somebody to discover me if I was in a remote place, because I don't always announce where I'm going. So, how these hobos, I believe they had phone plans the way it sounded, because they were able to get in touch with rides at times. They'd show themselves getting rides, so they had good support. They were sociable, very sociable hobos, and good for YouTube. But yeah, that lifestyle, it's like a wrestler's life. It's a short life that they live, and there's got to be other hobos out there similar to them, who are also in the facing the same fate with that, living outside. Just the people who don't make YouTube videos live in a very similar way. I mean, I read a book about some guy talking about the homeless life, who lived it in the 80s, and I forget the name, like Going Nowhere. I forget the name. I did a book review on it, and he talked about the challenges of hopping trains back in the 80s or so, and it was interesting. Uh, he met some interesting people along the way who he hung out with, made friends with while doing the train hopping, and it was just, he was a journalist, so he did it just as a temporary thing. Just chose to be like that. That's, I think, what Stobe the Hobo and ShoeString did, was choose to be that way. They had home bases. They were gaining in popularity. Stobe the Hobo, he knew how to play a piano and played his own music. So they had entertainment talents that they were making use of, that they thought that it's good for YouTube, and yeah, that's it. So the rail fans have a little bit of a history there. I mean, this is a developing history on YouTube. These guys have paved the way for the rail fan. You look up rail fan now, you'll see that it's not an empty category. There are people who have done it, who've shown the way, shown what it's like. So they didn't really die in vain. They offered a lot of education about this lifestyle, but still, it's amazing that they have gone so soon. And I shouldn't be jealous. I mean, I have no hard feelings towards them or anything. They never crossed me in any way. They were just showing a lifestyle, that's all. Some things are more popular than others, but yeah, that's something else. If you're capable of living that lifestyle, and YouTube's making it a very possible way of life. But I mean, you don't need just YouTube to communicate this lifestyle. I mean, people write books about it. Before YouTube, people were writing books about it. There's other mediums to share with it. So I'm going to stop here.